2022 has been a year of unprecedented shocks. The Russian invasion of Ukraine has created 4 new dynamics, each with the potential to profoundly alter the course of the energy transition across our 4 major emitters. Number 1, commodity prices. Shortages of Russian pipeline gas into European markets have sent fossil fuel prices skyrocketing. Number 2, stagflation. That rising commodity price has sparked an accelerated inflation environment which is slashing growth outlooks globally. That's creating to an elongated period of stagflation. Number 3, energy security. Putin's weaponization of Russian gas flows has shown the world the imperative of energy independence and the importance of safeguarding energy security. Number 4, political tensions. The invasion of Ukraine has abruptly ended the peace and stability of the post-Cold War period. That's creating instability abroad, whilst an emerging cost of living crisis is creating fracas and frictions at home. We'll look at the implications of these 4 trends across the 4 major emitters: the European Union, the United States, India, and of course China. This is Beringa's State of the Transition. The European Union, the largest single market in the world and a bloc on the front line of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Historically, the EU has performed well in reducing its emissions, hitting its Kyoto target of a 20% reduction in emissions on 1990 levels by 2020. Since then, it's upgraded its ambition by a 55% reduction by 2030 compared to 1990 levels. In addition, that all-important net zero commitment by 2050. Looking at our credibility and durability methodology, the European Union once again scored well on both axes. Our credibility score gave the European Union a score on its policy maturity. How developed is its legislative, policy and regulatory agenda in order to meet net zero? On our durability axis, the European Union also scored well, showing the momentum and political support was broad to meet its decarbonisation targets. The implications of Ukraine have been positive for credibility and durability in the European Union. We've seen increasing scores on both axes. If we look at credibility first, we've seen major advancements in the policy maturity and aspiration of the European Union. Most notably, the Repower EU plan has set a new higher standard for renewable energy deployment by 2030. The old aspiration of achieving 40% generating capacity from renewables by 2030 has been upgraded to 45%. That's an increase in 169 gigawatts of capacity. Whilst implementation challenges remain, most notably securing the available pipeline to meet that target, this nevertheless represents a significant increase in the aspiration of decarbonisation in the European Union. Secondly, we've also seen rising durability. When we look back at those 4 trends that have impacted global markets, we can see that the impact on decarbonisation in the European Union have been positive in 2 and neutral in the others. The first, commodity prices. Rising gas prices has created a shock to energy markets, but it's also stimulated the positive economics of additional renewable deployment. That stimulated renewable development pipelines as developers rush to try to secure development opportunities. Secondly, the downside risks of achieving higher coal consumption as a way of reducing energy bills has been relatively mitigated in the European Union. Coal consumption has risen just 7% year on year, which is relatively low given the extraordinary circumstances that Europe found itself in. Number 2, energy security. The priority and emphasis on energy security in Europe means an accelerated transition. The lack of domestically available fossil fuels means that renewable energy doesn't just mean greater climate commitments, but it is also of geostrategic importance to safeguard energy independence. In that respect, we've seen a stimulus of accelerated transition development. Number 3, stagflation. The impacts on higher inflation and slower growth have been mitigated in European markets with major government interventions in the retail markets, potentially capping prices at near low levels. That's reduced the impact of a slowing growth and higher inflation environment, whilst it has increased debt and sustainability risks for some member states. Number 4, political tensions. Whilst tensions between member states have risen slightly, they've been kept to the fringes. Challenges from Hungary over Russian sanctions of fossil fuels have been kept to a minimum, whilst Polish objections to rising carbon prices and carbon taxes has been kept isolated for now. The invasion of Ukraine has shown just how vulnerable and susceptible the course of the energy transition is to major macroeconomic and political events. If you'd like to understand more about the course of the energy transition and what it means for your investments and exposures, reach out to any of Baringa's experts.